Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Alex, and welcome to today's IELTS speaking practice class, where we will get together in order to look at some tips related to the IELTS speaking exam, and also to provide practice in the different sections of the exam. So I look forward to people joining us. We are broadcasting live on both Facebook and YouTube. We're also broadcasting live with through Connetics as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing as many people as possible getting involved today. Let me know if you're watching the class live. Let me know if you where you are watching at the moment and your name as well, so that I can include you in today's class. There will also be moments where I'll be asking questions related to the IELTS exam. So if you could participate there and let me know if you know the answers, then that would be great to see as well. So I can see that already we've been joined by Durga and Tulsi. Hello to both of you and welcome to today's class. And we've also been joined in the class by Alice and Abby. So hello to both of you. I look forward to doing some practice with you both later. Let's see who else is watching us at the moment on YouTube and Facebook. We've also got Entella as well watching on Facebook. So welcome to you, Entella. I hope you're having a good day so far. And we've got Leanne as well, who is joining us live today. Hello to you, Leanne. We have Sundar as well. Welcome to you, Sundar. And also Eberi. A very warm welcome to you. So welcome to all of you, all of you watching us currently on Facebook, which is great to see. Okay. So as I say, today what we're going to be doing is focusing on parts of the IELTS exam, and I'll be looking at an element of strategy as well in the exam room. So we will start to look at that in just a moment. Gemma has joined us, watching from Kuwait. Durga, can you be participants? You can be participants if you are part of the scholarship group, Durga. So if you are, you would be able to join. If you would like to find out more information about that, I will be providing a link to that very soon. Jaya is watching us on YouTube. Hello, Jaya. Okay, then. So, as is usually the case with this class, we do obviously have a number of you who are watching this class live on Facebook and YouTube. If you would like to join the class directly, and if you would like to be one of the people who gets involved directly in the speaking practice, then this is the place you want to go to. You want to join the IELTS scholarship program, where you will have the opportunity to receive support and guidance in your journey to working as a nurse in the USA. Here at Swoosh English and Connetics USA, we're here to support you in achieving that goal. So do sign up today. Just click on the link, which I will share in the chat box, and you can find out more information relating to this opportunity. So one of the ways in which we provide support is with this speaking class and with the live practice that we offer. So if this is something that you would like to do, if you would like to be one of the participants, then do click on that description. And there are also many other ways in which we can support you in achieving your IELTS goals. Okay. So I'm just going to share that in the description box now. As I'm doing that, I can see we've been joined by Yanar, who is watching from the Philippines. And Adikshai as well has joined us, and she is watching on YouTube. So welcome to both of you. Okay. So I'm just sharing the link now for those who would like to find out more about the opportunity that we offer with the scholarship program. Click on this link and click on the option Staff Nurse to find out more. So what I want to look at today then in terms of tips in approaching the IELTS speaking exam is I want to look at interacting with the examiner. So this is an important element of the exam because successful interaction with the examiner can help us make sense of the questions and therefore give a better performance in the exam room. So in questions in part 3 of the IELTS exam, you should expect the questions to be more abstract than in parts 1 and 2. And this can sometimes be confusing for candidates. It's often the case that candidates may have problems understanding the question, or another problem might be thinking of a response to the question could be the challenge. Also, communicating ideas clearly may be an issue with part 3. But the first step here is, of course, we must understand the question before we're able to give an appropriate response. So imagine you're in the exam room, the examiner asks you a question in the IELTS exam, and you don't understand it. What should you do in this situation? What do you think? You've been asked a question, you didn't understand what the question was. What should you do in that scenario? Do you think you should try to guess what the question was? Should you ignore the question? What do you reckon? What would you do in this situation if you were in the exam room and you didn't understand the question? Okay, so Abby says she would ask for a paraphrase. Possibly, but maybe I would do something else first. Okay, so Rani says we can ask for the question again. Yeah, absolutely. That is a logical thing to do initially. Maybe you just didn't hear it properly. Maybe for whatever reason, your concentration at that point in time slipped momentarily. So you can ask the examiner to repeat the question. So let's imagine that then. So we've asked the examiner to repeat the question. It's important to do that because hearing the question a second time will allow us to give a more accurate and relevant answer, assuming that we are able to understand it. So if we're going to ask the examiner to repeat the question, how do you think we should do this? We've got 3 options here. Which of these do you think would be the best option? A, B, or C? What would you go for? So would you ask the examiner, would you say, repeat, please? Would you ask the examiner, would you say, could you say that again, please? Or what was that? Which one do you think is the better option? Okay, so Rani and Leanne are going for B, as is KL. B looks like a popular choice. Abby says B. Yeah. Great, yeah, so absolutely. We should use B, shouldn't we? It's important because B is both polite and formal. It's a polite and formal way to ask for repetition. The other examples, repeat please, or what was that, would be seen as being rude or too direct. And it's important to give a good impression of yourself in the exam room. So when you're asking the examiner to repeat a question, you can still show a good range of vocabulary. You can show an appreciation of tone and register in your speaking. And you can do that by asking for repetition in a polite and formal way. So what other ways could you ask for repetition which would be appropriate in the exam? Give me some of your suggestions. You didn't understand what the examiner said. How could you ask for repetition in a polite and appropriate fashion? We've got one example there. Could you say that again, please? Any other examples that you could use in order to achieve this objective? How could you rephrase this? Because let's imagine you have to ask the examiner on more than one occasion to repeat a question. You don't want to always use the same expression because that shows a lack of range in your communicative ability. So a paraphrase would be useful, just in case you have to ask the examiner a second time or with a second question to repeat what they said. Okay, so George is suggesting, please pardon. I'd want to show a bit more vocabulary range than that. So I wouldn't want to just use 2 words. I'd want to use a full sentence, ideally, to show that I have the range of vocabulary to communicate effectively. Any other suggestions? Okay, so Abere, could you please go over the question again? Go over is not quite the expression, but it's a nice idea. There's definitely some good polite language in there. Could, please. Yep, there's some good language there. Pardon, can you please elaborate more your question? But if you say elaborate, that means that you want them to give more detail, more information, which at this point we just want them to repeat. So maybe we just didn't hear it clearly. We just want them to say it again. Excuse me, sure. Can you say that again? Yeah, absolutely. Can you say that again? Is fine in terms of asking for repetition. That's a good way of doing that, George. Other possibilities would be, would you mind repeating that? And then please. It's always good to use please at the end as well. Yeah, would you mind repeating that, please? Nice, polite, formal way to ask for repetition. And Teller says, I apologize to you. It's the opportunity to repeat it once and for all. So it's not quite clear there, Teller, that you're asking for repetition. So I would use language which is a bit clearer, just to make sure that your message is communicated effectively. KL says, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you please say it again? Yeah, that works well. That's good, KL. That's a good option as well. Honey says, sorry, I didn't get that. Can you repeat it again, please? Yeah, good. That's also a good way to ask for repetition. So Angelique, can you please rephrase it? That's actually the next stage. So we've looked at a few ways that we can ask politely for repetition. But if we get to a situation where the examiner repeats the question and we still don't understand it, what we need to do now is the next step. And that is where we ask for the examiner to rephrase or to paraphrase what they have said. So let's have a look at ways in which we can do this. Okay, so just note that the examiner is allowed to repeat the question using different words if the candidate has shown that they did not understand the original question being asked. So how do you think we should ask the examiner to rephrase the question? Again, we've got 3 options. Which one do you think would be best? A, B, or C? So have a look at the options and tell me which one you think is the most effective way of asking for the examiner to paraphrase. Okay, so Entella, Leanne, KL is saying C, Sundar is saying B, Adiksha is going for C, George is going for C as well, so C definitely seems to be the most popular. Abby says C, as does Lady. Okay, so quite a few people going for C, and absolutely C would be the best option out of the 3. This is again both polite and formal. The other 2 examples would be rude or again too direct. So for B, I have no idea what you're asking me. That is quite rude, really, and it doesn't help to further the conversation. A, say that using other words, please. It's clear, but it's too direct. So C is more polite. It makes it clear you didn't understand the question, and from the fact you didn't understand it, it encourages the examiner to paraphrase it. So what other expressions could we use to ask for the examiner to paraphrase the question? Any suggestions there? We've got one. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I've understood the question. How else could you ask the examiner to paraphrase the question? Again, remember, you want to be formal, you want to be polite, you want to show a range of vocabulary and grammar in your communication. It is a speaking exam, So part of the skill in speaking is being able to effectively communicate to the examiner that you want them to rephrase, to paraphrase the question. So what would you say in that situation? How would you ask them to rephrase or paraphrase? Let me know in the comment box if you have a suggestion. Okay, so George, could you please help me to understand you clearly, sir? Possibly, but the only thing I would say about that is that you could be referring to pronunciation maybe there. So it's not clear that necessarily the issue is that you didn't understand that specific question. So it's close, George, but I'd be just a little bit more specific in my request or statement. The clear thing is that the question hasn't been understood, so you would like the examiner to clarify it. Okay. So other suggestions then, apart from "I'm sorry, I'm not sure I've understood the question," would be something to the nature of could you please explain that? Yeah, so if you're not understanding what the examiner has said, you might say, could you please explain that? Yeah, you're not quite sure what they've said. So that will encourage them to then rephrase the question using words which are hopefully more familiar. Abby says, "I'm sorry, I didn't get your point. Can you please explain to me?" Yeah, close, close. I would slightly rephrase that, Abby. So I didn't quite follow that. And again, you don't even need to make it as a question. So sorry, I didn't quite follow that. That's what we would do when we're not quite understanding what someone is saying to us. So we wouldn't directly usually ask them, could you use different words? But we would make a statement which would make it clear that there was some confusion. So that would be a good way of doing it as well. Sorry, I didn't quite follow that. So George, I would want you to understand the question more. I would want you to understand the question. So you're saying to the examiner, I want you to understand the question. So again, George, I'll just rephrase this. Again, make it into a statement. So I'm sorry, I didn't fully understand the question. Help. As George, help. It's very direct. Maybe a little too direct. But yeah, so something like this. I'm sorry, I didn't fully understand the question. And then that will encourage the examiner to rephrase it. Okay, so these skills are important in the exam because particularly for part 3, there's a good chance that you will have at least one question which maybe you're not quite sure about. So don't feel as if you have to guess the answer. You are allowed to ask the examiner to repeat or to clarify the question. Obviously, you don't want to do this too often because it will show poor communication skills if you have to do it too often. But certainly asking for repetition on at least one occasion and asking for clarification on one occasion is likely to be necessary in the exam, and you will not be in any way penalized or given a worse mark for doing that. As long as your response is appropriate and as long as your way of asking for repetition and clarification is polite and appropriate, then that is absolutely acceptable and an important element of communication. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples of IELTS speaking. We're going to start with part 3. And what I will do is, as usual, you will see the questions on the screen, but I may ask some questions that are not on the screen. And if you don't understand the question or if you require clarification, then you will know now the language that you should use in order to do that. So you can see a description for part 3 there on the screen. And the first set of questions we'll be looking at will be relating to imagination. So let's see who we have in the class with us today. We've got Abby. So Abby, let me bring you into the class to do some practice. Hi, Abby, are you there? No? Okay, looks like Abby is on mute, so I'm not able to communicate with her at the moment. So let me bring in Honey. Hi there, Honey.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm well, thank you. Yeah, I'm doing well. So, Honey, we're going to start by looking at part 3 questions. Are you ready?
I need to be ready.
Okay, absolutely. So we're going to be looking at the topic of imagination. So the first question I'd like to ask you, Honey, is imagination, in your opinion, important to children?
Yes, absolutely, because it will help them create imaginary mind. It will be creative for them, and it will help them when they uh, grow up.
Absolutely. What is it that fuels a child's imagination, in your opinion?
I think playing is one of the things that will help them to imagine things, like role playing or sometimes building blocks, because uh, it will help them build what they want, like buildings or cars. Yes, that.
Okay. And what is your opinion on promoting creative thinking in the school curriculum?
I think it's important to be included in the curriculum because, as I said earlier, that it will be useful when they grow up to have a creative mind. Because uh, if you have a if you imagine things, you can create everything that you want.
Okay. And in your opinion, which kinds of jobs require an imaginative mindset?
I'm not so sure, but I think artists, celebrities who act on the screen, and engineers because they are building things to end machines. So that.
Okay. And do you think it's important for teachers to be creative?
Yes, of course, because they are the role models of the students. Um, they they encourage the children to be creative. So first, of course, they should be uh, encourage them.
In your opinion, is it possible to be both a creative and an analytical thinker?
Yes, of course. We need to expand our brain activities with it includes not only knowledge but also creativity.
Okay. Good. Okay. Thank you very much there, Honey. Those were
Thank
some
you.
good responses. Um, so yeah, you gave responses obviously to each of the questions. They were relevant. Um, you used some nice language to link ideas together. So one of the things you were saying in response to, I think this was what fuels a child's imagination, and then you use like in order to give examples, things like that you used as well as a kind of summary. Um, Not only, but again, was a nice expression to use to provide more than one example and to link your ideas together. So that was good. Also, at one point, you gave a response, and because you're less confident that you were certain about the answer, you said, I'm not so sure, but, and then obviously gave your best response, which is great, because again, it's showing your attitude, the fact that you're not an expert, however, you have an opinion, and that's all you need to have for part 3 is an opinion. Just a couple of points of improvement. So overall, I would say that your responses were quite good, but they could have been extended a little bit more, particularly the final question. So whether it's possible to be both a creative and an analytical thinker. I thought that would have been a good example to give some examples. So examples maybe of jobs which require both creative and analytical thinking, or examples of how someone can exhibit both. So a creative thinker may have to, for example, think about solutions to problems, and they may have to think outside of the box, but also you have to be analytical, because being analytical is a way of judging whether something is practical, whether it will be a solution which is likely to work in the real world, or whether perhaps it is something that is fanciful, or something that is unrealistic. So that's just me. That's my answer. Obviously, your answer would be very different, but there's an opportunity there for more expansion on your responses. And whilst you were giving some extension, I thought you could have given a little bit more extension, just to show a wider range of fluency, really. And obviously to give more examples of your ability to use grammar and vocabulary.
Okay, thank you for that, Alex.
No, that's no problem at all. And just a few slips just to bear in mind. So you said at one point an imaginary mind, but I think you meant an imaginative mind. Yeah, because imaginary means it doesn't exist.
Okay.
Yeah, and obviously imaginative means that it's full of imagination. So that was just one slip that I noted there. And also pronunciation. The word engineers is the pronunciation. So we stress the final syllable for that one. Yeah, engineers.
Engineer.
Yeah. Not engineers, engineers.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay, thank you.
that's just a point there. No worries on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you for getting us started. So let's continue then. And I'm going to bring Alice into the class. So let me just do that now. How are you doing, Alice?
Fine, thank you.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Have you had a good week so far?
Yes, it was.
Good. Okay. So we're going to move on to a different topic. Alice, we're going to look at the topic of puzzles. Are you a fan of puzzles?
Sorry?
Are you a fan of puzzles?
Not really. In fact, I
No?
think I hate them.
You think you hate them? Why is that?
I am not very good at filling them up.
Okay, putting them
I
together.
find them very tricky.
Yeah, yeah, they can be challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're referring to specifically to jigsaw puzzles there, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, Alice, could you tell me, why do some parents encourage their children to play puzzles?
Well, I think it's because it's a way of trying to ensure that the children learn. They are also able to discover quite a number of skills. And I think it makes them become very sharp in terms of even solving mathematical equations, because it's like it helps them to be able to to make their brains even think harder, or behave smarter in a smarter way.
Do you think it's a problem if children don't like doing puzzles?
Well, I don't think it is, because every child has their own interest, depending with their personality.
And what kind of child do you think does like to do puzzles?
Well, there are some children who are usually, they like exploring everything that they come across. So in such cases, you find that when they find out there are puzzles for them to fill, they always find them very interesting and they want to try out all of them.
And why do you think that detective novels are so popular?
I'm not very sure, because I'm not a fan and I have never been a fan. But I would imagine it's because people find them funny, or rather, they have interesting things that people come across whenever they watch them.
Okay. Can you give an example?
I have no idea, Alex. I have no idea what they are.
Okay. Um, if you were to read a detective novel, do you think it's important for the novel to be realistic?
Sorry. Well, not necessarily, because I would imagine that if it is able to keep me interested, entertained, and I'm able to learn a few more words, I think that would be enough. It doesn't have to be ideal.
And how do you think changed with the advent of computers?
Well, I think that whenever you have access to a computer, you can do so much, because whenever you have the internet, you can Google and get every information that you'd want. You don't have to read a physical copy. What is it? A physical copy? Hello?
Hi.
Because you can read it. You can read it wherever you are, because you just have to go online and look at whatever material you want, whether it's a novel or whatever book it is.
Okay, great. Thank you very much there, Alice. It sounds like you're having a few interactions in the street.
Sorry, we are on the road.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah.
Good, good. Yeah, okay. So I could see this wasn't your favorite topic, but you
Not
still
at all.
gave no, but you still gave some good responses to the questions. But yeah, you made it quite clear. You said, I've never been a fan. Nice expression to use there. You also talked about the fact it involved a number of skills, which is good. But then some examples would have been nice as well, just to kind of develop on that just a little bit. You used a nice expression.
Okay.
Sorry, a little bit. Here we go. Yeah. So you used a nice expression when you were talking about people who did enjoy puzzles. In such cases was nice. Again, nice referencing expression to link back to what you'd said previously.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was good. There was one point where I asked you a question, and your response was literally, "I have no idea." So how could you maybe have handled that a little bit differently?
Probably I would say that that's a tough one, or that's a tricky one. Then probably
Yeah.
by saying that, I can try to see whether I can think of something to say.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that would have been a better approach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think the question I asked you was to give an example of why people enjoy reading detective novels, or what they get out of reading detective novels. So yeah, so maybe you're not particularly an expert in this, but yeah, rather than just sort of I have no idea. Yeah, we're better. So yeah, actually, even if you can't answer the question, like an expression such as "actually," to be honest, I'm really not sure, because I don't know much about these novels. That would be better. At least explaining why you don't know would
Sorry
be.
about that.
No, that's fine. It's just I was just imagining if I was in the exam room, yeah, how we could make it more productive. Just a final point as well on funny. What's the meaning of funny?
Well, I think I meant to say that it's something that is quite interesting, something that one would enjoy watching.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fun.
Yeah, something that probably you can something that you enjoy.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, if you say it's funny, it makes you laugh.
Okay.
Yeah, be careful about the difference in the meaning, because it is something that is confused
Thank you.
sometimes.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no worries.
But it was it's a tough one.
The difference between the words?
No.
Oh,
Even
the
the topic
questions.
itself,
Yeah,
the topic itself is quite tough.
Yeah, especially if it's not something that you're not a fan of. Definitely, yeah. It can. That's the thing. Part 3 topics can sometimes be tricky. So, yeah. Sorry, I think we've got a bit of an issue with the sound. Yeah, I agree, Alex. Yeah, part 3 topics can be tricky. So yeah, it's important that we have that we're prepared for trickier questions. And yeah, there were some good strategies there, but using expressions such as, that is a tricky one, that is a tough one, I'm not sure about that. Even sometimes we could even ask for the examiner to rephrase the question, and that might help us to answer it as well. That's something which we can use as a strategy. But yeah, thank you very much, Alice. So we're going to continue to do some more practice. Just before we do, I would like to make those who have joined the class recently aware of the scholarship program. For those who have the ambition of living and working in the United States to further their career ambitions, we here at Swoosh English and Connetics USA exist to support you with that dream. So join us today on our scholarship program. If you wish to find out more information about the scholarship program, then you just have to click on the link in the chat box, which I'm sharing now, and click on the option Staff Nurse, and you'll be able to find out more information there. So if you're watching this class live on YouTube and Facebook and you're thinking, I'd like to participate, I'd like to do some speaking practice, this is one of the ways that we can support you in terms of preparing for the IELTS and moving forward in your career ambitions. Anna Karenina has joined us in the class. Hello to you. So let's continue then, and let's do a little bit more practice. I'm going to go back actually, because I want to look at the topic. This is again another part 3 topic, which may be a little bit tricky, but let's have a look at it together. And I'm going to bring Cheryl in. Hi there, Cheryl. Are you there? No? It doesn't seem as if Cheryl is able to access her microphone at the moment. Okay, let me try and bring Abby in again just to see if she is available. Okay, are you there, Abby? Are you able to participate at the moment? No, doesn't seem so. Okay, no worries. In that case, let's continue. Honey, are you still there? I'm going to bring you back in if you are. Are you there, honey?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So, so we're going to do some more practice together, if you're up for it.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it. So let's continue with part 3. So I've got a new topic for you. It's smile. So my first question to you is, why do you think people smile?
Here in our country,
Hello, Cheryl?
Filipinos tend to smile all that they are. Hello? Hello?
Hi there. Sorry, we lost you for a
Hello?
second. Can you hear me?
Wait. I just put my headset on. Okay, hello?
Okay, no problem. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello?
Brilliant.
Sorry.
Okay, so could you repeat that, please?
Okay.
Yeah, why do people smile?
Here in the Philippines, Filipinos used to smile because they are happy. But even when we are sad, we show people that we smile because we want to see people.
We've lost you again, honey.
Kasi we are. Ayan. I'm sorry. Wala.
Yeah, you went
Hello,
quiet
I
there
think
for a moment.
internet is. I think my internet is not stable.
Yeah, seems a little bit shaky. Let's try
Hello?
a different question. Let's see how we do. So, in your opinion, do you think people who like to smile are more friendly?
Yes, because when they are smiling, they can attract people to talk to them and um, uh, to talk to them and hello, I'm sorry, my friend is teasing me. Hello,
Oh, hi. What were you saying?
hello. I'm sorry, my friends are teasing me. I just go. Hello.
Hi there, honey. Sorry, continue. What were you saying?
Uh, So, people who smiles are friendly because they attract people because when people saw that someone is smiling, they attract what do you call this magnet people that to smile also, and they will be I'm sorry, I'm not on my mind. Oh, hello, Alex.
Don't worry, don't worry.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm distracted.
Yeah, I can hear that. I can hear that. Don't worry. So, in your opinion, why do people smile when they take photos?
Because we want to collect happy memories. So when we take pictures, when we when we what do you call this? When we reminisce in the future, we will see that we are happy in that moment.
Mm, good. And do you think it's important for people who work in supermarkets to smile?
Yes, because customers are like staff that are smiling, because when they are not smiling, their uh, customers will be intimidating. They will not attract customers, and the customers will not confront them. I mean, not talk to them.
Mm, good. Okay, good. So yeah, well done again, honey, in giving your responses to the questions. Um, you were developing your responses a little bit more this time, which is good, although you were distracted at some points as well. Um, but yeah, I thought the way that you began your answers was good in many cases. So answer the question directly. Yes, you said yes, and then because to give an explanation. Um, but we can use a bit more variety there as well. So you can say yes because, or you can say I believe so because. So just just a little bit of variation, just again, just so you're not repeating. But it's good that you're giving direct responses and you're using language to show that you're giving explanations. I like the fact you described people who smile as a magnet as well. We could also say that they have a magnetic quality, which would be an expression that you could have used there as well to express the idea. Yeah, towards the end you said customers will be intimidating, but customers will be intimidated is what you wanted to say, because if the service
Yes, yes.
workers don't smile, yeah, that intimidates the customers. So yes, they'd be intimidated. And then you did well to correct yourself, because you said customers will not confront them, but what you wanted to say was approach. That was the verb you wanted to use there. Will not
Yes.
approach them. So yeah, you did correct yourself with confront, because confront is obviously a word which is negative, and approach was the word that you wanted to go for there. But yeah, okay, great, honey. Thank you very much for coming back in.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
and
so
good stuff.
sorry.
No, it's good. It's all good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to part two now. We're going to do a little bit of part two practice to finish with. So let's have a look at a part two question. So obviously with part two, you can see the description there on the screen. You will have a question that you'll have a minute to prepare for, and then you should speak on that topic for up to 2 minutes. You should always aim to speak for 2 minutes in this section of the exam, because you want to speak until the examiner interrupts you. That way you will show the widest range of fluency, and you will make the examiner feel confident that you are able to speak fluently for an extended period of time. So since we looked at the topic of imagination for part 3, let's stick with this topic, this time with the part 2 question. And I can see that we've had some students join the class, which is great to see. Some more students join. So let me bring in Char. Are you there, Char?
Yes. Hi, Alex. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you. How are you?
Well, I just recovered from COVID, but
Oh, wow.
that's
How are you feeling?
well, I'm still out of breath, but I hope that I could join the session today.
Yeah, well done. Well done for having the energy to get involved. Have you been in the session before, Char?
Actually, this is my first time to join in this StreamYard.
Yeah, I thought so. I didn't think I'd seen you in a StreamYard session before. So a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much.
No worries. So Char, can you see the question there on the screen? Oh,
It
sorry.
says here that describe the time that you need to use your imagination.
Exactly. That's the question. So you should talk about this topic for up to 2 minutes. Okay. Before you talk, you have a minute to prepare some ideas. So your minute starts now. Okay, Char, are you ready to begin?
Okay, I'll try my best.
Okay, so please describe a time that you needed to use imagination.
Well, there was once a time that I was asked by my employer that what will be your dream in 2 3 years time. So I told my employer that I dreamt of I'm imagining myself not only as a nurse but also to broaden my profession as well. I mean, by saying that, I was telling her that in 2 to 3 years' time, I want to see and I wanted to be promoted as a clinical nurse, clinical resource nurse, or a CRN. So, being a CRN, what do they do? Being a CRN, they're like acting as a teacher. They're like a nurse teacher and a nurse educator. They serve as a role model to other nurses, to emphasize and to show them on how to do things which are right now are very evidence-based studies and practices. So being said that, I am imagining myself whilst I was telling my employer that I see myself being a teacher, like acting really as one, and going through inside the work area and trying to demonstrate more of my colleagues on how to do things right, on how to do things and procedures well, based on policies and procedures of the hospital itself. Pardon me for and same time, actually, I am imagining myself not only I told her that if given a chance, I am not only aiming for being a nurse educator, but also a nurse manager in time because
Okay,
I would
thank you.
love to. Thank you
Thank
so much.
Thank you very much, Charles. That's great. So that was the 2 minutes. So good stuff. So you spoke at a nice fluent pace and you included a lot of information. The only thing I'm not sure about is whether you were directly answering the question, because you were talking about ambition and plans that you had for your career, but where was the imagination?
I mean, the imagination is like teaching there. It's like picturing myself in, as a
Mm.
teacher.
Okay, so
But
this is what you envisioned.
this,
Yeah, and that's what
which
that's
I
what you
think I
saw.
haven't, yeah, which I think I haven't described that well. Like, I think you were asking of like, how do you see yourself on that moment, on that spot, on, how things like, it's like
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I could kind of see where you were going with it, but I think, yeah, just, I pictured myself because maybe describing where you were at that stage, at that stage, I know you were saying that you need to do more qualifications, you need to go further in your career. But yeah, maybe just sort of emphasizing that a little bit more, that I really had to, because I hadn't had the experience, I hadn't had the background, I really needed to picture this, and I really needed to use my imagination and my imaginative faculties to believe that this was possible. But yeah, I just wasn't sure what the connection was, but I can see what you're saying, that you were picturing the future. But there were some nice expressions you used there. So you talked about broadening your profession, or maybe sort of broadening your skills within the profession. You wanted to be promoted. You talked about these teachers serving as a role model. So those were nice expressions. And I like the way that you began, actually, just to go back for a second. There was once a time. So that's quite a nice introduction to the talk. Just in terms of your use of discourse markers, so the way you organize your speech, at one point you said being said that, it should be having said that, to
Okay.
link what you were saying afterwards to what had come before. Yeah, having said that, so yeah, just be aware of that expression. Colleague, pronunciation of colleague is on the first syllable stress. Yeah, colleagues, which is the difference between colleagues and a place where you study, which is college, but the stress is always on the first syllable, colleagues. And there was one other point that I wanted to raise, which was that, so you talked about you wanted to show them on how to do things. We don't need a preposition there; just show them how to do things would be the correct expression there. But lots of good things there, Char. So well done for getting involved.
So, okay. Thank you so much, man.
No worries. Thank you. Okay, so I can see we've got a question here from Durga. The difference between a critical and an analytical thinker, they're very same. They're very same. They're very similar. Is what I wanted to say there. If you're a critical thinker, you're thinking about whether something is correct, whether something makes sense, whether something has evidence to support it. And an analytical thinker is very similar. So they're very similar in terms of their meanings. To criticize something or to think critically is to question. To analyze something is to assess, to evaluate. So there's a slight difference in terms of the emphasis. Criticality is about questioning something. Analyzing is about evaluating something, but they're very similar in their usage. Okay, I'm going to bring Anna into the class now. Are you there, Anna?
Hi, Hi, Alex.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good. Just got
Great.
off from work.
Okay. So you just got home?
Yes.
Okay, good. So Anna, we're going to do a part 2 question together.
All right.
And the question is on puzzles again. So
Okay.
the topic of puzzles, but for part 2. So can you see the question on the screen?
Yes, I can.
Brilliant. Okay, Anna, so you've got a minute to prepare your response to this question, and then you should speak about it for between 1 to 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, are you ready to begin, Anna?
I will try.
Brilliant. Okay, so please describe a jigsaw or crossword puzzle, for example, that you have played.
I solve a lot of puzzles in my life, but I haven't solved any crossword or jigsaw puzzles. But there's this one puzzle that was stuck in my mind. It was Rubik's Cube. I am not so sure whether the people know it, but when I was still in my college, we tend to solve this kind of puzzle. So it's a square and it's really hard to describe it. It's like a square with small squares in it. So it's really complex. It's a complex thing that you can really um use your mind to solve it. So I solved it maybe like in 1 hour or days. I am not so sure because that was decades ago. But then again, when I was able to solve it, I was over the moon and I was tickled with pink because I'm able to solve this complex puzzle that I have. So by solving it, I was able to tell myself that in life I could really do whatever I want in life. Like if let's say I struggle in life, I had drawbacks, I can say to myself that with perseverance and really putting your heart and soul into it, you could solve anything in life. So one thing is another puzzle that I solved when I was still young, I think sorry, crossword puzzle because my my father was an avid crossword user. So when I was still young, he was always there to guide me how to solve
Okay,
it.
thank you. Thank you. That's great, Anna. Um, so yeah, the Rubik's Cube, very popular
Yes,
in the UK as well.
is it?
Uh, it is, yeah, it is. I know all about the Rubik's Cube. A lot of my
Okay.
school friends had one. Um, good, yeah. So nice description of the cube. Although you did say it's a square. Of course, it's not a square; it's a cube. That's the name of it. A Rubik's square would be a very different game, I think. Uh,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, but obviously you gave a description. You talked about how you did it as a child. Um, there was some nice use of language. So you said there's this one puzzle, which is a nice way to begin. You said that was decades ago, referring to the past. Use some idiomatic expressions as well. You said you were over the moon and tickled pink.
Yes.
So some nice idiomatic expressions that you were using. Um, you described your father as an avid crossword user. Um, so that was a nice description as well, using that adjective. So yeah, some good vocabulary that was used there. You also spoke at a fluent pace, and your pronunciation was accurate. Just one point here. You said at one point, you said I had drawbacks in life. Setbacks is the word that you wanted.
Setbacks. Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
a drawback is a disadvantage.
I was
So
confused already. Like puzzle. I'm confused already a while ago.
yeah, yeah. But it's, I mean, it's similar. It's similar, but you know, obviously you talk about the drawbacks of an idea or the drawbacks of a proposal, but in your life you experience setbacks.
Setbacks. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no worries. Aside from that, yeah, you used vocabulary very accurately, um, and so yeah, that was a very nice part two performance there. So well done, Anna.
Thank you, Alex. I'll be sitting for my exam next week. So
Best
hopefully,
of luck.
yes. Thank you.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know how it goes.
Yes, I will let you know. Thank you so
Okay, great.
much.
Great. Best of luck, Anna. Take care.
Take care.
Okay. So thank you to all those who have participated today and who have been watching the class live. I've just seen here we've got another question from Durga, creative thinker. Okay, so the difference between a creative and an analytical thinker. A creative thinker is someone who is able to think of new solutions to difficult problems. An analytical thinker is someone who's able to evaluate the value of those solutions. So whether they would be practical or not would be one way of distinguishing between the two. But thank you for your question. And thank you for all those who have participated live. Just before I finish today, I would like to make you aware once more of how you could get more directly involved in what we're doing here at Swoosh and Connetics. And you can do that via the scholarship program. I will once again share the details for that in the chat box. So this is an opportunity for those who would like to pursue the desire to live and work abroad. We can support you in doing that. All you have to do is click on the link which is in the chat box at the moment. Click on the option staff nurse and you will find more details on how we can support you here at Swoosh and Connetics in terms of achieving your dreams of living and working abroad. But aside from that, once again, thank you very much for all those who have been part of the class today. I will see you next week where we'll be doing some more IELTS speaking practice. Until then, take care.